YouTube, it's Brian Phillips. Look at this thing. We've got the Pioneer 620 millimeters. This is a little ready to fly aircraft made by Arrows. It's super fun, flies on a 350 milliamp hour pack. We're gonna see how it does up against the fall winds here in central Iowa. Not sure what to think on that, but look at these squishy tires. Wish they would have done that on the 1.3 meter Bigfoot because it would have been amazing. All right, without further ado, here goes nothing. This does have auto leveling and stabilization. We're gonna start in stabilization. Oh, tons of power, guys. Look at that. That's 50% throttle. Wow, that thing is a firecracker. Very nice, very nice. A lot of throttle there. There's full throttle. It's got tons of juice. Look at that, look at that. That's crazy. I would have never expected.
No.
Doesn't really cornhole very good, but that's okay. Okay, coming down and we'll bring it low. We got lots of turbulent wind down there in that area. Boy, this would be an amazing plane for somebody just getting into it. Because it's small, it is sub 250 grams. Now, for those of you that don't know what that means you don't have to have any registration or any stupid government rules to worry about. You just get up there and you just joy of flying. And boy, does it look nice or what?
It does.
Surprisingly good. We're gonna film some crashing, don't worry guys. Here we go, let's try a landing. Oh yeah, that wasn't bad at all. Of course, crosswind. Yep. So we tipped it over. So now, just so you guys know, those landing gear do like to pop out. We threw a little bit of tape on the spring mechanism so that it would keep it from popping out easily. So you may want to try to do that yourself. I'm gonna put this in auto leveling and just show you why that is so cool, okay? Watch, not even looking. Isn't that crazy? Just go straight. Now, by the way, it's very windy right now, so it's not like that just happens on its own. Everything is auto-correcting. We'll try this again here. We'll do a takeoff, even a crosswind takeoff. Let's see how bad that is. Okay, here we go. You ready? Mm-hmm. That's hands off the sticks, folks. Full throttle. Now I'm just gonna see how it flies. Ooh, good bank angles. You can really bank it a lot still. It's about 30%, 40%, 50% throttle. Juked out the camera crew there, obviously. Looks really good, nice, nice. The altitude holding is just beautiful. I don't think it has a barometer involved. I think it's just based on gyros. Okay, so obviously you won't be able to lean it over. So you see that's the limit of the bank angle. That's the limit of the bank angle the other way. This is the limit of the ups. Whoa, hold on a second. There is no limit on the ups, or it's barely there. Barely. Look how far down you can put it. Then when you let go, it just comes right out of it. So basically what's happening is when I let go of the sticks, here, I'll give 50% throttle, it just kind of flies itself. I'm gonna pull it back toward us. See what I'm doing? This is what new pilots do, is they move their sticks at extremes because they don't understand, you know, how to control that yet. And so the plane basically fixes itself. So now it's auto leveling. Now I'm gonna come out of that and show you the difference, okay? So we're into regular stabilization, which means I can control, I can put it all the way upside down if I want. I can go in and do a loop, or I can do a stall turn, or I can do a hammerhead, or whatever it is I wanna do, I can do it, provided I have enough power. You can fly upside down, no problem. That's about 30% power. Very good upside down handling. And it is not calm, folks. Mm-hmm. Look at this, nice flat wing turn here and upside down. That is incredibly good. Roll it over, bring it in for a nice pass. Sorry, I'm blocking the camera a little bit there, I know. Very cool, guys. This Pioneer 620 millimeters is available from the links in the video description below if you want to help support our channel. Somebody else pays the commission. That keeps us funded. Don't forget to buy from the links if you like this product. But to be perfectly frank, if you don't like this product and you like something else, buy that one instead. We got links to that one too, whatever it is you're thinking of. By the way, I would say this is a great beginner plane. Yeah. Because if you can get out and fly in wind, then you can fly. Now, we have a pretty big approach here. So let's see if we can do a landing. Kind of bring it in here next to the house and then do a landing. Woo! Trying to get into the wind so that we can do a nice landing like that. That's pretty good.
That's pretty good.
And then in terms of stall performance, short takeoff or landing, that's pretty good. I mean, it's about 4 feet. Not quite as intense as some of the competitive brands, but look how close I am to the ground. It's very controllable and it's windy, folks. It's not like every plane's gonna do that. Believe me, we've flown a lot of them and some of them are pretty crappy. But you know, we always kind of take that into consideration. If you're buying a $100 plane, it's not gonna be amazing. You're buying a $700 plane, it better be pretty amazing. And we know that most of you guys are on limited budgets for these type of things. So if you get a $100 plane and that is your max budget, there are still limitations, folks. That is really, really good handling, folks. What do you think, camera crew?
I'm really surprised at how solid it is, given the wind.
And we're on a ready-to-fly transmitter.
Yeah,
it's not like we're on an NX8 or something where we've got, you know, amazing controls and tons of mixing and, you know, exponential and all this.
Pretty much it is what it is.
It is what it is,
Yeah.
and this is really good, given that it is what it is. So I just really, I noticed that my landing gear is kind of hanging out there. You see how it's hanging? The right side is down a little bit and the left side is up. That's just because it wants to loosen. So I think we need just another chunk of tape on there to resolve that problem. Let's try some grass offs or hand launch, actually. Okay, so hand launch should be pretty easy. See, like I was warning you about, it's wanting to pop out again. You can fly without the gear. Camera crew, careful, no throttle cut.
Yep.
You can fly without the gear, but it's gonna throw off your CG, so you have to adjust where the battery is or maybe use a bigger battery. So to do a hand launch is very easy. Give it about 50% throttle and just throw it. If you put it in auto leveling, if you're a beginner pilot, that would help a little bit. By the way, this has been a pretty long flight for 350 milliamp hour.
I was just gonna ask you what you would expect.
Probably about 6 to 7 minutes tops.
Okay.
What are we at now?
About 7.
Okay, so I would say we're probably gonna be getting close, but this thing is flying ultra efficient here. Again, guys, we've been incredibly impressed with Aeros. The products that they're putting out, this is obviously somewhere on the very high end of toy, very entry level of hobby grade. I would say, honestly, you could call this hobby grade. The only reason I struggle to call it hobby grade is just because of the ready to fly transmitter, but our Bigfoot has the same transmitter plus 1 extra channel, which means 1 more switch for flaps. And we were amazed by how good that thing did.
The transmitter on the Bigfoot also has reversing for
the channels. Oh, that's
that
true.
One does not.
Yep,
But
that's a good point, camera crew. Thank you. But I would say if you're new to the hobby, if you're maybe not a super skilled pilot, this one is gonna get you in the air just fine. And it's got enough rudder authority, enough elevator authority and roll authority that you're gonna be able to enjoy your flight experience. They've got this thing really dialed in nicely. Slow flight performance, of course, is gonna be easier for us on a less windy day. But I would say right now we're experiencing probably about 3 to 10 mile an hour wind. And at 3, it's just everything you want. In fact, let's go out here and just show you the windsock. You see how it's limp right now? We're probably at like about a nothing to 3 right this exact second. So let's see if we can do a nice landing for you. I want to kind of do I was trying to do a touch and go. What are we at, like 9 minutes of flight time now?
Just about.
Just about, okay, good. So 9 minutes of flight time is surprising how much. A little bouncy on the tires, surprisingly. Oh, there we go. Finally got a little touch and go at the end. Barrel rolls.
Where did you go?
Right behind you.
Jeez. Sorry, that was like the worst ever, guys.
Did you miss it?
I totally missed it.
That's all right. So, I said I promise you some crashes, and that was not a good enough crash to qualify. So is this thing gonna hold up to crashes? I would say it probably will. Would you mind holding that? Look how flexible this is. Now, I don't wanna break it, but that's a thick wing and it's pretty flexible. The body is flexible, but it's less flexible, and that's where you want the stiffness, because you want these things to be true to these things, okay? Otherwise, you're gonna have a poor performing plane. But you don't want them so stiff. Can we show this up against the sun? See, there isn't very much reinforcement through there. There's reinforcement here and here and here and here. but then there's nothing in the wing, which is actually good for crash performance. So let's do a couple of crashes. We'll do a couple of tumbles here. So this is the type of crash you're gonna get as a new pilot. You're gonna be probably on grass and you're gonna be powering it. And that's the typical crash. You're gonna see a lot of crashes like that. And you're just not gonna see any damage because it's not carrying enough mass. So, go ahead. We're gonna try a more aggressive crash this time. You'll note that we're still flying on the original 350 milliamp 2S pack here. All right, so let's try just a dead-on stall here. Just right here. Boom! That was pretty aggressive. I was trying to hit it hard. Huh?
That's how it would look if I crashed.
Well, it'd probably be a little bit higher up, but you would try to avoid it by pulling back on the elevator, you would think. But a lot of times pilots get very overwhelmed. Okay, so in safe, look at that. Or auto leveling at least. Still flying, guys. We just crashed it into the ground, directly into the ground, into the prop, okay? Let's try another crash with the tail. Oh, see, it's too heavy, so it's just gonna protect you every time you do this.
Yep.
So really surprisingly good, well designed little plane. The foam is super soft. And the battery doesn't move either, which is really nice. So I was hoping to get a better tail design. See, this is how hard we crashed that into the dirt. We got crap all over the spinner. So that's always a good sign if you're trying to crash. Okay, so the other thing people are gonna do is they're gonna have tough time landing and they might hit the prop. That's one of those things where you may end up actually breaking something. That prop feels thick, but I'm curious. I really don't wanna break it. Look at that, that's so gorgeous. What, after about 11 minutes of flight time?
Yep, probably.
Man, we just got this lull right at the perfect time, folks.
Yeah.
We were flying earlier. We were flying a Blade 330, and we were flying the Bigfoot, and it was just crazy. Wind was just going like nuts, and then all of a sudden, here it is, calm.
Yep.
I'll take it. So I'm trying to think, how else should I crash this so that I can demonstrate crashability? Upside down? Let's do upside down.
Sure.
Okay, so we're gonna fly it in, upside down. Okay, no problem. Obviously it does the upside down. Now I don't want to put it on the pavement, obviously. It's gonna damage the finish and everything and make it ugly. But just so you guys can see that, we've now crashed it from every direction but tail first because I can't get it to fall on the tail. It's just got too much nose weight to it. And then here it is, look at this thing. We're about probably 12 minutes of flight time on a 15-minute video here. It's just gorgeous. Our battery is definitely letting go now though.
Is it, you can tell now?
I can hear the pitch change. It's very minor. Hear it? Mm-hmm. If you load the motor, there it is. Did you hear the squirrel?
Yep.
Very nice, guys. Okay, so in closing, the Aeros Pioneer is everything I wanted in a ready-to-fly plane. At this price point, it's phenomenal. I would say definitely on the wish list for the grandkids, for the kids, for the neighbors, for whoever it is that you want to not be jealous of your planes, but you also don't want to spend $1,000 to get them flying. This is a great choice. I think the Bigfoot is a better choice for somebody that's more on the hobby end of things. This is a great choice for somebody that's on the toy end of things. But at the same time, I have lots of planes. That was still really fun and I enjoyed it and I know you will too. So stay tuned, we'll show you the Unbox build and radio setup, which is kind of a joke because we pretty much cut it out of the box, plugged in the charger, talked about how to charge it, and that's what you got. So 350 milliamp 2S comes with it, transmitter comes with it, 4AA's doesn't. That's pretty typical on these ready to flies. But other than that, I think we used a little bit of tape to thicken up this thing. The squishy tires are great. The prop seems to be okay. It does have screw access here, which means that you're not gonna have a quick release prop. That could be nice in this level of quality build because you do have a brushless motor, which is nice. Some of these little guys are not coming out with brushless motors. I can tell you the E-Sheens, the X-Flies, they generally have a brushed motor and they have a gearbox. And they are fun and they're great little toys, but the thing is, they're just that, they're toys. You're gonna constantly be doing maintenance on the motors if you fly it like you're gonna fly this. So I would say, good call, good job, Aeros. Thanks for working with us, guys. Buy the stuff from the links in the video description below. You'll help support us. If you don't want to support us by buying this plane, we got Patreon and PayPal there available. And we thank you for watching. Stay tuned. Unbox next. YouTube, it's Brian Phillips. What do we have here today? We have a knife. We're cutting a box. Why are we doing that? Probably because there's an airplane in it. Okay, what do we have here? It is another Aeros airplane, the Pioneer 620. Oh yeah, baby. It is a beautiful little trainer that is going to be super fun. 620 millimeters or 24.4 inches. Wingspan overall length is 416 millimeters. It's around 105 grams, 1608. That is the 16 millimeters by 8 millimeters, 3000 kV motor. It's got an integrated gyro receiver and ESC, and there are two 2-gram servos and one 3.7 gram, but it is a 5-channel system, probably to control the vector and then throttle, and then of course the 3 channels, which would be ailerons, elevator, and rudder. Pretty cool stuff. Excited to see how this thing flies. We've seen a lot of really good stuff from Aeros. We just started working with them here not too long ago. So obviously, you know, we're trying to bring you the quick and dirty to get caught up with what their offerings are. But at the same time, we have been really surprised by how good it is. We knew it was gonna be good because we had seen a lot of the footage ourselves, the stuff that you guys have seen. But the thing is, we hadn't experienced it ourselves, and so we just kind of assumed, you know, maybe this is just BS. Maybe this is just some gimmicky sales stuff. Well, here's the thing. I can tell you right now, we have had a super, super good time with the other Aeros that we've reviewed. Obviously, we have the 1300 millimeter Bigfoot, which has been awesome. We flew that on 2 different occasions, both quite windy still. And we have this like strange lull in wind today, which we didn't expect to get. So we're gonna try to get this one done. Look, an unfolded manual. Thank you, Aeros. Whoever did that, you get the reward for the day, whatever that is. Okay, oh yeah, look at that. Looks a little bit like another plane that we've reviewed, but I like the tires. Look at that, that's super cool. They're squishy. What the heck? Why didn't you put those tires on this one, Aeros? Seriously, they look awesome. They're super squishy. And then I love everything is nice and clean. Plastic around the nose, that's good. The receiver or the hatch axis is right here. Now I'm noticing markedly missing from this aircraft one minor detail that this channel tends to talk a lot about. But I guess we'll have to see whether or not we care about that. These are large inboard ailerons. Very strange. Not sure where they decided on that. And what else comes in the package? It looks like we have a little charger. Oh yeah, buddy. This thing is a 2S. Simple charger, okay? And it's got a JST end on it. Aeros 350 milliamp hour, 7.4 would be 2S. You can also tell it's 2S because there's 3 wires. So you have a ground, this is your first cell. And then you have, this is your second cell, and they are in series, and this is your main discharge lead. I ordinarily would not get excited about a JST end, except that that means that we can charge these. We don't have some weird connector here, okay? So let's start that right now. This is a ready to fly plane. So what that means is that you're gonna get everything you need, but probably a couple of batteries for your transmitter. Okay, so this is a, this calls out a 5 volts at 2 amp output, or input rather, and then the output is 7.4 volts at 1000 milliamp hours. So that's pretty fast. So you're charging this thing at like 2+ C, which is a little bit speedy, but that's fine. If you're new to the world of RC, that means that your charge rate is indicated by C, but then your discharge rate is also indicated by C. If you're not confused yet, just wait longer. Okay, plug that in. There's a little red light that comes on. And then you plug this into the balance lead. That's how you get both of the cells charged to the same amount. Okay. Then this light starts flashing. That's a little green light to show the green light there. Now in the meantime, we have a couple of other batteries that are charged up just in case we wanted to do that. And you'll note that they all have these connectors, JST and micro pH balance leads, which is really good. That's not a micro pH, that's just Hextronics, just like all the rest of your batteries, which is really nice. So when you go around looking at other Aeros batteries or Spectrum or whatever it happens to be, you're gonna see that many of them have the same Hextronics end. That's your balance lead. This is your discharge lead. The discharge lead will vary from brand to brand based on what type of, size and capacity and duration and C rating and all these things that you expect to get out of your batteries. These ones are good because you're going to be able to use many different chargers, not the least of which is, I'm gonna pull this one out. This is one that we really like. This is a great charger. Now, obviously this thing will charge your batteries, but I'm just gonna show you. This is actually only a 1S charger. Whoops, sorry, never mind. What?
Would that other little one work, or is that only a 1S too?
No, we would just grab an adapter like this. This is an IC3, which is a smart lead. You don't need a smart lead for JST to JST. So then what we would do is we would just turn on, say, a smart charger. We happen to have 2 cooking on this one, so we'll just leave those where they are. And you can see as that fires up, I'm gonna go ahead and disconnect this battery. And the balance lead is gonna go straight into the smart charger, like this. And then we're gonna use this adapter to come out of the IC3. Now you could, of course, just build an adapter too. And then just black to black, red to orange in this case. And you can see everything comes to life. It shows your cell voltage. And the reason we're doing this is so we can charge it quicker. So we're gonna press and hold and we're gonna move up. We don't wanna charge at 2.2 amps. You wanna change that value to something more consistent with the speed of the pack. Now 1 amp is how fast the little charger is gonna charge. So we'll just go ahead and do it the same speed and see what we get here. Now you can see how many milliamp hours is going into the pack as it starts to tabulate that. Of course, it takes a second for all that to come up because it's gonna take time for these things to be calculated. And then if you scroll down, you can see your actual voltages as it's charging. And then you can also see the internal resistance, which is really nice. That's usually a mark of quality batteries. Okay, so now getting back to the point, the reason we're using the bigger charger is because this one will take longer to charge, generally speaking. So in this case, let's get back to what else we need to do for setup. Looks like we're gonna be pretty simple on setup because there's basically 3 pieces. There's the transmitter, the plane, and then the little bag that has your charger in it. So this looks familiar. So this is the same type of transmitter that came with the Bigfoot. So that means that this is going to be for probably our modes of action, like auto leveling or not, okay? This is gonna be elevator, ailerons, and then this is rudder and throttle, okay? So we have 5 channels on this one. So we need to get some batteries. So it looks like 4 AA's and we'll be right back. All right, so we got some AA's. The flat goes to the spring side. As we've discussed before, we get the world's scrappiest batteries. So if you get good quality batteries, this thing will run for a long time, but we get the cheapest ones that you can find and we burn through a lot of them. So one tip on ready to fly planes, if you're like me, you're gonna end up with more. So write which plane goes with which transmitter. Of course you can bind them later, but Pioneer, and this is 620, so it's 620 millimeter, okay? So you always put the size class so that you know what it is. Then up here, since I'm not familiar with this, one of them, which one direction was it?
It did not say, it just said mode.
These are bind buttons, that's what they do. Okay, so throttle has a little bit of detent action in it, okay? And then of course this is spring loaded, so this is what we call a mode 2. So elevator, spring loaded, and then there's trim buttons. This thing's probably gonna beep incessantly, which will drive me a little bit nuts, but it's okay. What else do we need to look at on a plane that's ready to fly like this? Do we need to look at the center of gravity maybe?
Let's look.
That's our battery. 71 milliamp hours pushed into this pack. And we should be ready to rock and roll. I'll get the XPC battery checker just to show you guys.
There is a center of gravity in here.
So you see this? We're gonna plug this in right here. So it says 92%. So not really sure why it says 92%. I'm not sure why it said it was done. I think it must have needed to balance the thing more, which is a little bit strange, but it was certainly beeping, wasn't it?
Yeah, it did.
Was it another pack that was beeping? I'm gonna plug this back in. So yeah, it says 4.13. I don't know what it was talking about. So I'm gonna change my current. I'll put it down to, normally I would charge at 1S, okay, or 1C rather. We're gonna let that start, and it says 93%, but then it went to 100%. Not sure what the deal is. So I guess we're gonna just abandon our efforts on this. It is a little bit hard to unplug this one because the lead is so small, I don't wanna rip this out. And then it looks like, which one of these is done? This one's done. I bet this one, no, I heard that one beeping because it said 100.
Yeah.
So we're just gonna plug this in and see what happens. We've had better luck with the S2200. We just use it all the time for a bunch of stuff. So let's press start and see what happens. Now this isn't a smart pack, so you have to set up your settings each time, which is a bit annoying, but it's fine. Okay, so if we did 3 times 350 would be 900, 1100, so let's just do 1.1 amps. That's good enough. So that's 3 times the average speed. And let's see what happens. Then I can scroll down to this and I can see what the voltages are. I think what's happening is it just momentarily brings it up when you're in a higher current setting. It brings it up to 4.2 and then it says it's done.
Even though it's not.
Yeah. See? Once it sees that 4.2, it's like, yeah, I don't want to overcharge the pack, so that's where it stops it. So we'll just let that keep cooking. CG stands for center of gravity, or COG, center of gravity. And center of gravity matters on a plane because that's going to help all the control surfaces do what they're supposed to do. So if you balance it on the center of gravity, which is usually about 1/3 back, on 1/3 to 1/2 on the length of the wing. So in this case, it's going to be about here, and it should balance, but the battery's not in it, so of course that's going to make up the difference. And then you can pivot the plane on the center of gravity, so that makes your elevator more effective. And then of course there's also a center of gravity, center of mass here, but most of the time we don't check that on a ready to fly plane. We would only check that on the most sophisticated of planes that have weird bodies to them. Okay, so it claims this one's done right now, but what's gonna happen is it's gonna be done, but it's gonna keep balancing that pack. So you see how it's still balancing the pack? So that's good enough for our purposes for today. So we'll just pop this off of here. Now, one thing I've found with the cheaper included chargers is that occasionally you'll get some that will overcharge your packs a little bit. If you're over by 0.1 volt, it's probably not gonna make or break the chemistry of these cells, but over time, they'll start to puff and then you'll have to replace them. And lipos and getting cut on props are basically the two things that people find themselves having trouble in this hobby. Also, the landing gear do come out really easy, and then you can fold them back. I noticed that ours were a little bit overbent, so I wanna make them just a little bit more like this, so that when we land, they have a little bit of room to go out. So we're gonna do that now. Super easy to get the gear in and out, so that's always a good sign. And if yours like to pop out, then you have to then kind of pull them back out a little bit. I think we're gonna be golden. Except it's actually loose. I'm gonna put a piece of tape on there.
Okay.
The tape is gonna widen up this wire by just a little teeny bit, and that's gonna give us a better chance at having it hold in. We don't want the landing gear to come out while we're flying because it's a pain to chase those things. So I'm gonna take off about 1/2 inch of just regular tape. I'm just gonna stick it on here, fold it under, and so on and so forth. And let's see if that's enough thickness. Oh yeah, it's like way harder to get it in there. That's the key. Okay, so there, that's gonna hold it and then have some rough landings. Helps absorb some of the energy. Of course, these squishy tires is something of beauty. They need to be using that for all their planes. All right, so last thing we need to do is basically get the battery loaded in here. And we've already checked the voltages. So we're gonna turn this on just to see what happens. So there's some beeping. Everything seems pretty straightforward. Gives you a beep when you switch between modes. So I'm gonna shut that off. There is no throttle cut on this machine, so be careful that you don't cut yourself. So ordinarily you would use the battery to help make the CG correct. There's what's called a multi-purpose brick in there, which is gonna be your receiver and your stabilizer and all those different things. We'll just let it initiate. It needs to be level and true. Oh, critical mistake. Never had the transmitter on. Always start with the transmitter. Notice the dance. That means the stabilizer is active. Very cool. Now we're gonna take and push these leads back, just like this. And then we're gonna drop this in between those two foam bulkheads. So that holds your battery for you nicely. Okay, and you see I've got the leads just kind of pushed back where they fit. I noticed there's a capacitor on that multi-purpose brick. That's pretty cool. So that should help with brownout conditions that could be caused. I don't know if the battery's supposed to go the other way maybe. Let's see if that'll go the other way. You just don't want it to run into the actual motor. Oh yeah, you could go that way too. It actually kind of holds it either way. Okay, so now let's just check. If you're close, it'll be okay on this plane. Yeah, that's pretty good. And this says 35 millimeters back. I'm totally confident with that. So without further ado, guys, also we have a steerable tail wheel. So as you can see, that's pretty good. And to get your throttle working, you can tell we're in auto leveling. So that's the other thing I want to do, is I'm going to write safe, and I'm going to show an arrow back. So that's safe, even though it's not called safe, it's called something else. And then this is like stabilizer, so AS3X, which is not AS3X, but I'm just calling it that because that's what I'm used to. AS3X, of course, is DSMX branded stuff from Spectrum. It's not trying to level your plane. Now it is trying to level the plane. How do you tell? Look at the ailerons. It's trying to roll the plane the quickest route to level. Look at the elevator. It's trying to level your aircraft. See? Trying to bring it to level. Once it's level, then it's good. All right, cool. So without further ado, we're gonna fly this thing. If you haven't already bought one for yourself, if you like the way that this flew, check out our links in the video description below. You can help support our channel financially, but you don't have to pay for it. Somebody else does. Buy it from the links below. You'll help support us with that little bit of commission that we get when things are bought and sold through those links. Obviously, this Bigfoot is a great beginner plane if you want something a little bit bigger. And yes, they are both really good tail draggers. Really, really happy with both of these planes. They've been super fun. We love this thing. It's the Carbon Cub S2 killer is what I'm calling it right now because it does such a good job. It's beating one of the best entry-level planes on the market right now. So we'll see how this one does up against its big brother that would be competitive to the UMX Turbo Timber. So if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. Obviously, we have literally thousands of videos to help meet your fancy as you go from not flying to being obsessed like I am. And we will be here to help hold your hand as you learn what you need to learn. Thanks for watching. Come back for more.